Okay, people, I'd like to just introduce Heather again. We're still working on a working title for our get-togethers, but all joking aside, things are getting very serious and dark, and we're just going to keep doing this. So welcome, Heather Brown.
Can you still see me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, because the screen froze.
Okay. I can see you and I can hear you. Did you hear me introduce you?
Yes.
Okay.
Only just.
All right. Well, there are a few things we want to cover today. I know Heather's ready to bring her information and her take on things. And I've also made a list of things to cover. So do you want to start anywhere, Heather, or do you want me to dive in?
Yeah, you start.
Okay, so I suppose the first update, the first thing that's on my heart, and I don't mind saying I've been crying, and, you know, maybe if Satanists don't have mercy on children like Vishtal that are dying whilst being, you know, brutally abused, then they're unlikely to get anything other than a kick off of me crying. But I'll be honest, I've been crying because Sheva Burton, whoever's running that avatar, probably Sue Melrose, is inciting people to CrowdStrike my YouTube channels. And the smaller one has evidence on it that I can't replace, including audios of my dead sister, audios of my father admitting to things, audios of a crooked autopsy, what do you call it, coroner's inquest. Now, mysteriously, all of these audios disappeared off my phone a couple of years ago. All of them just got deleted. And I thought, that's okay, I've got them backed up on YouTube, and now I've got 2 strikes. Thank you, Sue, you're so big and clever and powerful, and you know, such a credit to the Satanists. You really are. You're a disgrace to the name of survivors, but you're a credit to the Satanists. So I've got 2 strikes on that channel, 2 videos removed, which were part of an evidence bundle, which I can't replace. So I don't give a shite about, you know, views and prowess. But that's a low blow to actually go after my own personal evidence bundle. That's a low blow. And so congratulations, you've made me cry. So the next thing to address, and I'll let Heather jump in whenever she's ready, the next thing to address is Sabine McNeil.
Oh.
Yeah, she's been...
Well, look, I told her in 2013, you better stop what you're doing. Stay away from people's children. Stop saying you represent parents. The whole, many parents told her, shut up, stop saying this thing. And I said to her, you'll end up in prison. Oh, she was screaming. I spoke to her on the phone, and she wanted to know about a child that was in care. Well, I mean, the girl was nearly grown up, but she was offering money for the whereabouts of this child. And I said to her, well, why don't you go and ask the black churches where this girl is, because they will know. And she said, because I'm not a black. I do not talk to blacks. I will not speak with blacks. And I thought, well, you'll have a problem. You live in central London, you don't speak to blacks. Oh my God, how do you get along? Oh yeah, that's what she said. I don't speak to blacks.
Well, maybe she meant they weren't part of her everyday circle. I don't know. I can't speak to that, but I just want to...
No, she said blacks. She said, I don't speak to blacks.
Well, anyway...
I thought, oh my God, how strange. How very strange to be saying this kind of thing. Well, so yeah, well, anyway, she's in jail, and that's where she'll be till November, because a Crown Court judge has put her there, so that's where she'll be till she's on trial. And then they'll just take her remand off of what they sentence her to, and she'll have to do the rest of that
Well,
and that'll be that.
regardless, I think it's obscene. The same way I think it's obscene to CrowdStrike a tiny little YouTube channel full of somebody's personal evidence of their family
But this
history.
woman's
I
had
think
paid.
it's obscene to jail a 74-year-old disabled anti-child abuse campaigner. I don't, I've had issues. Loads of people have issues. I'm still investigating the Mackenzie friends. I'm not defending any of that. I just think it is obscene to jail a 74-year-old disabled anti-child abuse campaigner on remand, and particularly as she was set up. And this is what makes me think it's a psyop. She was invited to come to a Church of England synod meeting about child abuse. The person that invited her then reported her for breaching her bail conditions, because he said she came along and she discussed her case. She was invited to a Church of England synod meeting on the subject of child abuse, and then she was referred to a counselling line they had for anybody in distress, which she used. And then she was reported for both as breach of bail. Now that reminds me of, we lived in Gibraltar when I was from age of 5 to age of 8. And there were infamous stories of how the Moroccans would sell vast amounts of cannabis to some Western person and take a load of money for that. And then they would report them and take a load of money from the other side. And it was just like a double sting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's my opinion.
Well, anyway, that's where she is, and that's where she'll stay, because they won't let her come out.
Well, it looks that way, that's 8 or 9 months on remand. And that's 2 years on torture, keep getting arrested, multiple arrested, and all the rest of it. So, that I just find that's a sad indictment of humanity. So, did you see I got another a quote unquote
letter?
Yes.
You know who has contacts and who has an obsession with Ireland?
There's one. That's the envelope. Now I'm doxing myself with my address, but it's already out there. Interestingly, there's no postmark on the stamp this time. The last time the postmark said Gatwick. That may just be a mistake.
Gatwick?
Yeah, which is where Yanis...
Oh, no, that's a UK stamp. That's a UK stamp. That's not an Irish stamp on that.
No, it's a UK stamp. It may just be that the machine didn't stamp it.
Oh, no, I get them all the time with no stamp. Apparently, they can run them through a scanner instead.
Okay.
You know who lives at Gatwick, don't you?
Yanis Emmanuel and Sue Melrose.
Maybe Yanis Emmanuel doesn't live in Gatwick. He lives in
Crowley. Does. I've got his address there. And there's the note.
You've got his address? Well, he apparently he lives in Horsham. He lives in Sussex.
Well, let me see if I've got it on this phone. I've got his address, phone number, everything.
Oh, no, it is her doing this. I mean, this woman is... Oh, I think she'll probably assassinate our makeup artist, because she says we've been having special makeovers. I know, I was laughing at this. They do it when I'm asleep and they wake me up doing these makeovers. It's terrible. I've had to put them out of the house and lock the door and lock them up. Yes, no, we have special makeovers. But I think this Karen Irving is a cut and shut profile, I'm told.
Peter who?
Karen Irving.
Oh, Karen Irving.
Probably a cut and shut profile.
Yeah, it probably is, but I'll just read you what this says anyway.
Okay.
For those that haven't seen it on Facebook, I'll put it up on my blog. It says Karen Irving, aka El Coyote, date of birth 2nd of October 1957, is the author of Katie Klein, Klein, mystery novel series of books.
Oh no. Karen Irving is...
Let me just finish. She has a Canadian accent, lives in Belsize Park. Is she the sister of Sophie Dix?
Well, she's not El Coyote because Snake Logan is El Coyote, and I have seen definitive proof that Snake Logan 5000 is El Coyote.
And Snake Logan is Steve.
Snake Logan is Stephen Keyes.
Right, right.
So
Right.
the pair of them, and she knows Stephen Keyes from when he was sneaking around those men's groups.
Right.
So, and she also, you say she can't write a blog. Well, we have very good evidence that
No. Karen Irving seems very educated. The person I'm saying that.
Well, have you seen the stuff that Sheva Burton writes? Because there's another person called Spider Webs or Cat Webs or something like this. And she has said that why is Sue Melrose, Sheva Burton pretending to be daft? So this other Cat Web or whatever she's called has noticed this as well.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
because we have found articles that she has written, and they're very articulate, and it is her writing them, and she's saying, we have a team on Hoaxstead, but she tries to say that she's only a commentator in Hoaxstead. No, she has written in an article written by her, in an account in her name, we have a team, and we have some filmmakers. Well, that would be Keyes. He's the one doing the filmmaking.
Well, he's still at it. He's still at it. All his, you said that Julian Vane's Satanic Views had retired, and then
Julian Vane's not Satanic Views. Stephen Keyes is Satanic Views.
Well, he's still at it because
I know he's still at it. I know he is.
Yeah, I had comments on my blog by Tin Ribs.
That he's Tin Ribs.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then so he's still, if he's hired by the Black Ops part of the corrupt police, it's probably time he got retired.
Well, she put him up to it. She has enlisted him in 2015.
Yeah, Karen Irving has, and he said
Sheva Burton has. Sheva Burton has.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, Sheva Burton has.
A phone call to me that Karen Irving and Ray Vark added him when they saw that he made a point of going out and finding Abraham Christie's ex-partner and stepdaughter. They added him and said, "Oh, tell us more," kind of thing. So, but he
has other people going out and snooping for him. There's a person called Nick Williams, Arctic Nick, who pretends he's from Norway when he's not.
Right.
And we've seen conversations between Arctic Nick and El Coyote, aka Snake Logan, and it says both names where we've seen this.
Right.
And wanting to know about, because this Nick person had apparently been talking to Rupert Quainton and wanted to know what was going on with the police and Rupert Quainton. And the Nick says to Coyote, I think Quainton has been released from jail.
Yeah, he's back in America. He served.
No, this was written last year. No. We've seen a lot of things. We've seen stuff written by Sheva Burton, an article, quite a lengthy, articulate article, where she is talking about the Hampstead hoax and Hoaxstead, and she is saying, we have got a team and we have got filmmakers.
Yeah.
So, sorry, but she's not just a commentator, and she was rallying to try and get people to join Hoaxstead. And the way she writes, pretending that she's illiterate, that is just that. It is pretense, because we've spoken to people who met her recently, and they said, well, they don't understand why these people know her. They don't understand why she's writing in this illiterate, incoherent fashion. She's doing it on purpose.
Okay.
Because she wants us to think that she's not running our blog. She
Yes.
wants, she was. So she is the one who has enlisted Keyes, because she was snooping around these men groups, father groups. What
Yeah,
was she
Fathers
doing
for
this for?
Justice. Yeah, try because they got. I'm going to just look in my evidence file because the original 50 letters that got sent posted all around my community in Ireland and the press and schools and everything were very illiterate. The spelling was appalling. The grammar was appalling. There was no headed note paper. It was just a cutout thing stapled. It was just a mess, which is what made me think she's illiterate. But
No, she's not illiterate. I will show you later what she has written.
all
A
right.
lengthy article about Hoaxdad, and she wrote it somewhere else where she thought it's a private account, but it's not a private account because we've got this article she wrote. But this Catweb person, she seems to have also...
Yeah, I know. I don't know her personally, but I communicate with her. Spider Cat.
Webcat or something she's
Yeah,
called.
she works with David Scott.
I don't know who this person is.
She's on the Fresh Start crowd.
I don't know who that is either.
Oh well, not to worry. Anyway, she seems decent, and she's a blogger, and she's fearless.
Because I mistook what she wrote was written in the style of that Sharon Zaki, and I thought, oh, what's she writing this time? But apparently it's not Sharon Zaki, it's Cat Webb or whatever she's called.
Yes, yeah, Catweb, yeah, and she's quite open about her real name. It's online and so on, and she has nothing but contempt for Sue Melrose. I remember.
Oh, she's written a very long thing about why Sheva Burton is a fake.
Yeah, and Wesley Hall put up a status about 3 months ago about Sheva Burton. I think it was Wesley Hall, and it had like 100 comments, and I said, you know, that woman has terrorized and, you know, just been obnoxious and horrendous in my life and my children's life. And then somebody came on and said, oh, I've met her personally. She's definitely a survivor and she's going to be traumatized if she sees this. And she's her own worst enemy. She's an alcoholic and she's just never managed to pull her life together. But she's going to be re-traumatized by this blog. And, you know, I just had to say there are some, you know, if she's a genuine survivor, there are some survivors that go bad and they just become abusers, and that seems to be the case with Sue Melrose. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just think she's hilarious. She thinks that we have gone to the trouble of having special makeovers to make videos. And I know, it's hysterical. And that also, it's too bad we've had these makeovers because nobody will see us. I mean, you can see the green-eyed monster in what she's been writing.
No, somebody warned me once that the spirit of envy is a spirit of murder. It's the same thing as murder. Someone who's a biblical scholar and very, you know, very versed in spiritual warfare just said to me, if you've got anybody around you who's envious, don't just write it off as petty jealousy. You know, just,
oh no, because they'll come after you.
yeah, because
they'll come after you. I've had that before. Yeah, they'll come after you.
Yeah, the spirit of envy is murder. So anyway, yeah, I just want to say that after I spoke to you last time, I contacted Rupert and said, now I knew he'd Skyped with Sheva Burton, Sue Melrose.
She says he's been to her house.
Yeah, no, he admitted it. No, he admitted it.
I've been to her house, so okay.
Yeah, I messaged him after our last show and said, what the fuck, you know, like, and he says,
have you been to her house?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I only went because I had a 10-hour layover at Gatwick and like she invited me and I didn't like her and there was like serious weirdness going on down there. So he's admitted it. He did go there.
Oh, well, apparently she is seriously. But I'll tell you what we've discovered about her. The general opinion of all the people we've had doing a troll is that she's a wannabe witch. She wants to rule everything and rule everybody, but she also has tried to study the craft and spiritual things, spiritualism.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Well, spiritualism has nothing to do with the craft, but she seems to be trying to get herself in among groups online.
A bit like Steve Keys. I think her...
No, groups where she can learn or can pilfer information.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But we will be warning everybody and are warning everybody not to have anything to do with her, because what she is an information peddler.
Anyway, I won't give her any more credit than that. And just to refresh, like, you know, I'm just going to refresh some details about Rupert that are facts and verifiable facts. And I'm not down on the guy. I'm the biggest softie ever. And the only person that's really, really angered me is this Sue Melrose. And she probably thinks that's a big feather in her cap. But with regard to Rupert, you know, he has said on tape that his grandfather was the psychiatric MD to the board of the Federal Reserve. He has said that his grandfather served on the board of directors with Rockefeller. He has said his parents, you know, performed in the White House when Bush was in power. He has admitted that
performed. What do you mean performed?
Well, their church, their Methodist church in the same little town, Culpeper, Virginia, their Methodist church had a bell ringing choir or something.
Oh, okay.
Somehow got invited to come and perform in the White House. You know,
Okay.
He has admitted that the finders were operative in Culpeper. He has admitted, you know, his cousin is chief clerk to the chief of staff of the American military or whatever. His father was in charge of the computers at Langley CIA base. You know, there's everything that indicates that Rupert is either an operative or an MK Ultra survivor who still hasn't joined the dots. But I'm just putting that out there, and he can be as angry as he likes with me, but I'm just putting that out there, that there's a lot about his background. But similarly, there's a lot about my background that people can say, oh, that means she's, you know, she's an agent, or she's a shill, or she's this, or she's that. There are a lot of MK Ultra survivors that are only just coming awake that didn't know what all this stuff meant. Like, there's so much manipulation in my past, German birth certs and constant manipulation to hook me up with Germans, and, you know, like working for BCCI, working for royalty and aristocracy, blah, blah, blah. So my instinct is about Rupert is still that he's not a bad guy, but I might be just stupid. I might be just stupid.
I don't know. I've never met him. I just happened to see her saying that he'd been to her house.
Yeah, well, he admitted that, and he said that he only did it because she pressurized him and he had a 10-hour layover at Gatwick. Now, this would have been back in 2006. When did he come over? 2000. I can't even remember. It's so hard. Like, last summer was 2017. The summer before was 2016, which is when he came over. So, and that was when he had the layover at Gatwick, because I sent him €1,000 to come. He said he would come to Hampstead and do a documentary and just, you know, ask the questions. So I sent him $1,000 for his airfare, but he used that to fly to Italy for 5 weeks and then to fly to Amsterdam for a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I gave him another 1,000 stupidly, and so did other people. But that's, you know, whatever. But the only time I can think that he had a 10-hour layover at Gatwick was when he flew from America to Italy to go and do some work with Kevin Galilei. He had a 10-hour layover at Gatwick then. He can't have visited her any other time, if he's telling the truth about when it was, because when he left England, he was at Heathrow in the deportation unit for 72 hours. And so...
Oh, no. It wasn't when he's in the deportation unit that he went to her house. She was saying...
Yeah, it must have been May. It must have been May 2016.
Oh, it's some time ago. It wasn't January, no, this year. It was sometime. It was when he was here.
Yeah.
in this country, he went to her house.
Well, unless he flew, no, because he flew direct from Amsterdam to Lanzarote. So it must have been when he was flying to Italy and he laughed because all the Hochsteaders were saying to him, you're going to be arrested, they're waiting for you at the airport. And then he posted afterwards, well, I flew through Gatwick, nothing happened, hello. You know, and then he went off to Rome for 5 weeks, and then he went to Amsterdam for a month, then he came to Lanzarote for a month, and he didn't even want to leave Lanzarote because he said, I'd like to stay out of America until at least January 2017, which was when the new president was inaugurated. And so I just said to him, look, you've flown over here under the pretext of investigating Hampstead. You need to go and do it. So anyway, I don't want to slag him because, like I said, I still feel, unlike with, you know, I still feel that he's not necessarily a bad person or, you know, bad actor. We've covered Rupert, we've covered Sheva.
What's this about Belinda Mackenzie?
Yes, that's the next subject I was going to...
I told you what she was up to. When was she running that options, not adoption?
I've had some other people research it, and it's quite a while ago. I think it ties up with the time that you were talking about.
The time I'm talking about is 99, 2000, 2001.
Yeah, I think it ties up with that. I could look it up.
Yeah. She's a stalker. She will stalk people to get their children off them. And she was going around buying children.
Yeah, the thing that came back to me from the two people that have done, there's 2 or 3 people researching at the moment, but the general impression, and this is what's so difficult with, you know, it's not our place to judge people, but evaluating Belinda, one of the researchers came back and said it could have been a well-meant, you know, it could have been a well-meant sort of charitable effort. Because I remember, I'll just give you an example.
No, if you weren't part of the religion group that Belinda was part of, then she wanted to stamp you out. And she goes on about spiritual wars, and if she keeps it up, she'll be having a spiritual war with me, and she will not win, and she will not enjoy it, believe you me, because I will hammer her into the ground.
Yeah.
And I might just do it anyway, because I know she had something to do with what happened to us. I know she did. That woman, she was friends with Barbara Tobiasinski, also knew...
I need to write this down because somebody asked me the name. One of the researchers looking into options for adoptions came back to me and said, who is blah, blah, blah. So Barbara, what's her name?
There's a woman called Barbara Tobiasinski.
Tobiasinski. That doesn't sound like a genuine name. That sounds like...
No, it is. No, I knew Barbara Tobiasinski. Her name is Barbara Tobiasinski. Her children's names are Tobiasinski.
Okay, well, Howard Disney doesn't sound like a real name either, but it is.
No, Tobiasinski is. It's a Polish name.
Yeah.
It's Polish.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to say, for the sake of, like, you know, whatever... I just want to say that I took in a youngster and she went off to university, and when she got to university, she only been there 5 weeks, discovered she was pregnant to a no good drug dealer before, you know, that she'd got pregnant before she went to university. And she decided to go ahead and have the child. And she thought she could do university and have a creche and it would all work and come together, but she couldn't manage it. And then she was very bitter about all her friends were going off around Europe and getting fantastic careers, and she was in a council flat on benefits with her child. And like at the time, I remember thinking to her, I don't believe in adoption per se, where you just lose track of your child. But what about if there was something like open adoption, where some lovely people that you trusted, you know, raised your child, but you could come and visit your child every Sunday and you could have access to your child. And, you know, so there was a question raised about whether this options, not adoptions, whether it was some scheme like that.
No, these people wanted to get people's children from them well, they were purchasing them, so one would assume that they were selling them as well. And also they were going for people who were not of their religious beliefs. So they want something out by other people. And I don't care that it's years and years later, because I and other people are prepared to stamp this old bag out, this Mackenzie piece of filth that she is. Why is she not in jail? She was one of the orchestrators of this Hampstead thing. Why wasn't she in jail?
Well, I've been thinking, you know, because I think that the legal team, which apparently, hopefully this is true, that it's either resigned or been fired of Sabine.
Don't think to have, because apparently she's been put in jail so that the legal team can get on with doing their job.
Yeah, but
I don't think to have been.
Well, let's just see how things unfold. I know.
Why would they be fired? Why would they be fired?
I'll tell you why. I was in London summer, you know, when Rupert went over in August 2016. I flew over just to give him moral support because he didn't want to leave Lanzarote. So I went over, and one of the things I went over, and then I made a video with Belinda Mackenzie outside Holborn police station because Sabine had been arrested again and chucked in the cell there for a bank holiday weekend. And then I attended Highbury and Islington Court, you know, on the Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was. Tuesday it must have been, because it was bank holiday weekend. And I observed the legal team that Belinda had put in place and paid for Sabine. And it was very clear to me that the legal team was not up to the job. And
why would she be paying for it? Because she wouldn't be paying for this. She would not be paying for this because people who are charged by the state or have their child taken by the state are entitled to automatically legal aid.
Well, Sabine doesn't have any children, so that wouldn't be the case. But anyway.
No, but if the state launches a trial against you, you have legal aid.
Well, whatever, put the legal aid thing aside, the legal team had been organised by Belinda.
Yeah.
I was there with Nilu and Lee Kant and somebody else who had to leave very quickly because the judge Alison was trying to put him in contempt of court, and she was just like, she was out of control a little bit. But anyway, I was there, and I went for the debrief afterwards because Sabine got released at that point, and we all went for coffee and cake afterwards and debriefed. And I said, I don't think your legal team's up to the job. You don't realise the seriousness of how you're being pursued. But what I didn't realise was the mother of the solicitor was a good friend of Belinda's, and she was there. So, of course, I put my foot right in it, saying this solicitor's not up to the job. I don't.
Sabine's friend, the mother of the solicitor, apparently.
Well, Noam Chomsky it might have been, or Abdul somebody or other. I don't know. But just as an outsider.
Oh, Asim Taz, you mean?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, I was just. Well, I was just a fly on the wall. I'd flown in from Lanzarote, and I just said, I don't think your legal team's up to the job. And then the mother was there, and then some, you know, people were like embarrassed because I said that out loud, and they were saying, no, he's doing great, and he's going to get a really great barrister, and so on. But my opinion, and Nilu Berry's opinion, and I believe possibly Tracy Morris, Wesley Hall's opinion, is that this legal team that Sabine has not served her whatsoever. They've advised her to plead guilty, a little bit guilty here and there. Oh, well, just admit this so you can get out on bail, and just admit that so that you can this. And they did the same with Rupert, right? Just go this way and then we'll get that concession, and so on and so forth. You can't be a little bit pregnant and you can't be a little bit guilty. These people, are, it's illegal, right? The only difference between Nilu, Ved Chowdhury, and Sabine is that Sabine is alleged to have leaked the videos. The videos were already leaked twice. Once, I suspect, by Ella or Abraham, and once by somebody else. They were leaked to Russia, then they were leaked on the darknet. So by the time Sabine got around to inadvertently, you know, CCing something that she was sending to Theresa May, you know, CCing the TAP blog or whatever. You know, so the only difference between Nilu's alleged offences and Sabine's alleged offences is that they're trying to hang the thing of releasing the videos onto the internet on Sabine. And the other thing they might be trying to hang on her is on Rupert's laptop, they found an Excel spreadsheet of all the names, addresses, email addresses and phone numbers of the alleged abusers in Hampstead. Now, this was common knowledge. It was on the internet. It had been released by Ella. It had been released onto several blogs or whatever. But they found that on Rupert's laptop. They brought it up in his court case and said, who could have given him that? Would it be Angie or Sabine? And stupidly, I put a meme up saying the idea of me presenting an Excel spreadsheet is hilarious. So by that, they deduced, oh, well, it must have been Sabine. But how come, like I advised Sabine right from the get-go, I'm not feeling good about this legal team that Belinda keeps putting together for you. Why don't you go with Nilu's tactics and Edward Ellis, equity lawyer?
Oh my God.
You can laugh, and they can be bonkers, but they know. I might agree, but they know the law. But the truth is, Nilu's still free, and Sabine's banged up at 74, disabled for 9 months on remand.
Do you know why Nilu's still free? Because they're terrified her, because if they put her in a jail, she'll cause havoc. She'd drive them nuts. They can't put her in jail. She drives them nuts. And her sister turned around and hit a copper not so many weeks ago at Nilu's house when Nilu was getting evicted. I couldn't believe it on the video, on the Facebook Live. Whack, and she hit. I mean, the two of them are 4'6" each. And there's all these bailiffs and coppers, and they said, right, well, we'll just come back later, said goodbye, and they fled.
But they say
because she'll cause havoc in the jail. She'll start this rubbish about Indo gold and all this.
I know, Swiss Indo. I know. But they say the line between madness and genius is very thin, and. Yeah. You know, but the point I'm making, I think Sabine's legal team have not served her whatsoever. I think it was outrageous to keep advising her plead guilty just to one of the 5 counts or 2 of the 5 counts, the same way Rupert was advised. No, right from the get-go, the restraining order that was put in place by the judge was after a case collapsed. It was deemed no case to answer against Sabine and Nilu. And after a no case to answer Crown Court hearing, where they didn't allow the defence to present their evidence, which of course they wouldn't, so they get a no case to answer, case collapse, but the judge jumps in with a restraining order. That's totally.
Oh yeah, no, they do this all the time because they think there might be some kind of clash between the two sides to cause further problems, so they will injunct the one from going after the other.
Yeah, but it's insanity. If you want to talk about people that are insane, I'm sorry, it's the British judiciary. Right, let's go on to the next thing.
Why would this girl who was at university and was why would that have anything to do with, I wasn't at university, I was a professional woman and I owned property and I had my own money, but some of these cheeky cows wanted to purchase my child. So no, it wasn't that they were some kind of do-gooders, they were out for themselves and they wanted to take what belonged to other people. And I wasn't of their religion, so they decided.
Right, okay, I'm open to the possibility, but Belinda has 4 children of her own.
Belinda's an evil bitch. Look what she did to her own daughter.
Well, I've met Tizzy, and she's.
Yes, and you said that she said to you, you don't know what Belinda's like. Well, no, you don't know what Belinda's like.
She didn't say that to me. She said that to somebody that lived there for a year.
Okay, well, she said it to somebody then, didn't she?
She was being forced to go to hot yoga, which ties up with Ella.
Yeah, Bikram yoga.
Yeah, and Sabine. And she was saying, I hate it, I don't want to go, but Mummy keeps making me go. And this person was saying, well, tell your mother you're 21 or whatever, and you don't have to go, and you don't want to go, and so on. But that's all just detail.
Oh no, you don't know what Belinda McKenzie's like. You don't know what she was mixed up with for years and years.
No, she
You
told me
really
she
don't know
was in
what
a cult. She pretty much told me. She
what,
said,
just the one, just the one. She's been in more than one. She's now involved with the Christian spiritualist. Tell us, Angela, what does Jesus say about people talking to spirits?
no,
I'm quite sure it's not allowed,
no,
is it?
absolutely wrong. No, I know she's lost the plot spiritually. I know that. She's lost the plot spiritually. I've got no doubt about it.
Goes and she pays for people to talk to voices in their
No, I
own
know,
house.
because not only that, when I had a very vulnerable mother staying in my home, you know, McCartney, and then
Oh yeah, it's her,
yeah,
yeah.
and when the husband took his own life, Belinda's contribution was to contact that mother and say, I'll pay for you to speak to a medium. I was horrified.
She spreads this rubbish around.
Anyway, we'll try.
To a medium. A lot of them are actually an extra large for a start off. I've seen them. They definitely are. And they are con artists. There is a special law that replaced the Witchcraft Act, and it's called the Fraudulent Mediums Act.
Okay.
And a lot of these people need arresting under the Fraudulent Mediums Act. They really do, because the half of them know that they are lying, and the half of them are speaking to voices in their own heads. They don't speak to any dead people. And there's some of them who do a thing called cold reading, where they can convince you they've got your great aunt brother. Oh, on the 21st of December, a crowd of them showed up on this doorstep. And they said, there was about half a dozen of them. And they said, we've got a message for your grandfather. And I looked at them and I said, what? Yes, we have a message from your grandfather. He's Irish. I said, well, no, he isn't. Yes, he's got curly black hair like you. And I said, well, he must be going then to Sabre Chemist and buying hair dye, because my hair is only black because I dye my hair black. And they were getting quite irate with me. So they met, there'd one man with them, and he turned around. They were like geriatric gangsters. He turned around and said, well, you need to have this message, because something very bad will happen to you, and it will be £50, thank you. I said, I'm going to report you. Do you know what they turned around and said? They said, well, the council advertise us on their website. And I thought, no, they don't. But when I came in and I Googled it, the council do advertise them on their website. The Christian Spiritualist Church as an advice centre. How are they an advice? The CAB is an advice centre. The Christian Spiritualist is not advice centre.
No, the Satanist.
So the council have been advertising them.
Yeah. So they're protected. It's very dark. The next subject or person I wanted to just know if you know anything about is Tracy Morris.
Oh, Tracy Morris. Well, I've had one run-in with Tracy Morris, and it was when I made the first video with yourself, and I sent her the link of the video, and she sent me a friend request. So I then was looking through her profile, and I thought, what the hell are the UVS doing? Because I lived in East Belfast for a year or so in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I had a run-in with the UVS where they locked me in my own apartment, and they had somebody guarding the building at the front, and they had put padlocks and bolts on the back door to the yard, to the courtyard. So the girl next door, she went and she phoned Women's Aid, and Women's Aid had a man waiting on the motorway. I had to climb out the window in the middle of the night, the third floor window, get down into the yard, pile dustbins up, climb over the dustbins and jump down onto the motorway, get over the wall, the yard wall. And I was taken to a safe house where they promptly followed me within days. They found out where I was because we think somebody in there told them. So, yes, the people she had on her Facebook page, I knew of that. Well, I knew some of that family because 2 or 3 of them told me they were going to do to me what they'd done to a girl called Lorraine McCausland. And they knew what was done to Lorraine McCausland. And that was in 1987. Well, they couldn't have known that because unless they actually did that or they were present when it was done, they couldn't have known because it wasn't released into the public domain.
Okay.
No, it wasn't released into the public domain. And they could graphically describe to me what they'd done, and they were laughing. And these particular three of them told me they were going to do to me what they'd done to her. I had a run-in with some quite major paramilitaries from both the UDA and the UVF. And I ended up taken out of Northern Ireland in the trunk of a car driven by a man from Women's Aid. So I thought, what the hell is she doing with these people on her Facebook friends? And then she was saying that she goes over to East Belfast to visit them to their houses. And I thought, but she is from somewhere in the Andersonstown Road. Why would she be running around with the UVF? So I said to her, and I said to you, she's got the UVF on her page, and you said, oh no, I'm sure she hasn't. No, she wouldn't. Well, she does have.
I didn't say she hasn't, because I went and stayed with her, and I paid for her to come out and stay in Lanzarote for a week. You know, and I kind of trusted her. But when I went, I've been to stay at her home twice, and on one of the times she took me to East Belfast.
Oh my God.
Yeah, with all the girls, and we visited a mother in distress whose baby had been taken. And it sounded like a complete setup where she'd been prescribed medications in her pregnancy that should have killed her baby. And when Tracy tried to track down the GP, he was only a locum, and he'd been based in the same building as social services. It was all a setup. And when Tracy tried to investigate who is this GP that prescribed these horrendous medications to a pregnant mother, they said, oh, we don't know where he is. We've lost contact. He was only a locum. So it sounded very genuine. I met this girl, and she was lovely, and she was a distraught mother. And when I said to Tracy, because she kept introducing people for me to help, you know, once she knew I owned my own home in Ireland, she would phone me up and say, oh, there's somebody homeless, just been attacked. Can you take him in for 3 days? Or there's somebody, you know, in dire need. And she was basically treating my house like a halfway.
Yes, and you do know that those people, if they find out your address, they will try to take your house off you. They've tried that with me twice.
I know, I believe that, and I've just doxed myself anyway with that envelope, and my address is out there anyway. And, you know, like, they're trying to take my bundle of evidence with my own family case.
No, I'm in the UVF, and what lives in East Belfast.
First of all, I stayed at Tracy's, and she took me to East Belfast, and it was all the murals, and it was all kind of like, you know, weird to me. And I said, how come you do so much work with the Protestants? You know, like, I was raised thinking my identity was Irish Republican Catholic. So I was like, how come you do it? And then she brought people to my home, and I helped them as human beings. And then I said to them, are you black proddies? Have I got black proddies in my house? And I was having a laugh with them, right? But no,
they won't laugh at that.
Well, you know, on one level you can identify somebody as a Protestant or a Catholic or UVF or IRA or whatever. But if it's a mother who's had her child stolen, you kind of overlook the identity. But I did notice that she seemed to be working mostly in the Protestant community. I did notice that. And I asked her, and she just said, oh, I could go anywhere freely in Belfast, doesn't matter which side of the fence. Everybody knows I do good work for mothers in distress.
She can go anywhere except among her own, because they hate her and they say she's a police agent.
It is possible. It is.
No, they say she's a police agent, and there have been people doing live videos on Facebook who have said to her, you're a fucking tout. You're an RUCPSNI agent. And they said it, and they know her. I believe one of the people was one of her ex-partner's sister.
Right.
Who looked after her children when she dumped them on her. Yes.
Right.
So she can go everywhere except not among her own type.
Well, I know. I mean, again, I'm not playing devil's advocate, but it says in the Bible, a prophet is not, you know, a prophet gains no honor in their own hometown. But the thing she told me in Lanzarote, which surprised me that she'd never told me on camera, was that she had been a witness to a paedophile ring near Birmingham where a GP would identify vulnerable single parents and tip off a solicitor, and this solicitor would approach the parents and say, oh, the doctor told me you're quite vulnerable. Would you like me to take your children for a weekend's camping? You know, we help vulnerable mothers with, you know, who are struggling with their children, and we can take them off on outings and so on. Now, Tracy told me that she didn't agree for her child to go off, and she
Oh, well, I heard different, that she said, yeah, thanks very much, bye-bye, and gave the kids to them.
right.
That's exactly what I heard.
She gave evidence at Parliament, which I know she did because Chris Tuck was there, and she was like regarded as a bit of a heroine. But what she told me that was the story that was stunning. That
You mean heroin or heroin addict?
Well, I don't know about, probably more like cocaine, but I don't know. But what she told me was that she was the main witness to this paedophile ring, which turned out to be a paedophile ring connected to Greville Janner and Jimmy Savile and all the rest of it. But she was flown out. She was a protected witness for a while, and she was flown over to testify in the court case. And she was taken to the basement of the court, and she was told by the handlers, you're going to have to testify by video from the basement for your own safety. So she sat and gave her whole testimony about the doctor and the solicitor, and how she identified loads of other mothers whose children had been taken on these weekends and so on and so forth. And she gave her whole testimony on video. And then she went back to Belfast. They paid for everything. They flew her over. They flew her back and so on. And she went back thinking, right, job done. And she says a year or two later, she found out by accident that the court case had collapsed because they said the main witness didn't show up. And that was her.
She went back to Belfast. Well, all right, because the other story she's come off with is that she was living happily in the West Midlands, and then she was ordered to come back to Belfast. Ordered by who?
Well, she according to the version she told me, was because she had reported this dodgy paedophile ring, which included a GP and a solicitor and weekends away for children of vulnerable mothers, because she'd reported and identified and active, you know, got in touch with other mothers and so on. She was told she had to leave for her own safety. So she was put.
She had to leave where? Birmingham.
Yeah, and she was told she would be brought
what
back.
She said was that she was living happily there, and that she was ordered to come back to Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
well, ordered by who?
Well, possibly if she was told she was a police witness for a very important case.
Well, the Northern Irish police would have had nothing to do with that because it was in Birmingham. The PSNI or the RUC wouldn't have had anything to do with that. Yeah. So the Birmingham police wouldn't have ordered her to go to Northern Ireland. No, they wouldn't.
All right. The other thing I did notice to do with the people she was helping around the time I went and visited her twice and stayed for a few days was there were a lot of PSNI involved. Like the couple I took in, the brother-in-law was very senior in the PSNI. There was a...
but the guy, which brother-in-law? The girl's brother-in-law or whose brother was the brother?
The father.
His brother.
McCartney, let's just be honest. Paul McCartney, his brother-in-law is quite senior in the PSNI.
His brother-in-law?
Yes, I met him.
So is that the mother of the child's brother?
No, the father of the couple that came to my home sent by
yes.
The father, his sister is married to somebody very senior in the PSNI.
In the police?
Yes.
Well, it's pretty funny.
Not only that, but the ex that testified against the father maliciously, well, she said she was pressurized by the PSNI. At one point, there was somebody whose child was taken and given to the auntie who also worked for the PSNI. And the mother's mother works for Stormont. She works at the Parliament in Northern Ireland. So there was some serious, I was thinking, this is all a bit weird. It's all Protestant, it's all PSNI or politics in the North. What's going on here? You know?
Well, yes, because when I was there in the 80s, there were English girls being lured there with the offers of housing and green fields and this, that and the other, and they hadn't a clue what they were getting into. And the next thing, they were being approached by UDA men to try and seduce them. And the next thing these girls were pregnant, like before they went to Northern Ireland. Next thing, they were taken and locked in hospitals, and like what happened to that woman in Essex, the Italian woman, the babies being cut out of them.
Oh, yeah.
But these girls, the babies were just taken away, and the girls were not allowed to register the birth, and the births were falsely registered. So quite
trafficking going on in the north.
Quite recent. Well, I told you that before because I told you what went on with me, and that was in the 60s. So there were some. I know somebody who works in Chichester House, the birth, death, and marriage office.
Yeah.
And this person was a manager there and told me that, oh, you'll be interested to know there's been a spate of arrests for falsely registered births. So apparently when these children had blood tests, for some reason, they found out that their people on the birth certificate wasn't their parents. So yes, they were stealing children, and the females were threatened by police and threatened by social workers and threatened by paramilitary. Oh yeah.
Well, this ties back to actually research I've done with Kathy Morgan, and to do with my parents and to do with eugenics and so on and so forth. Post World War II, there was actually a program set up, and there's evidence of this, where the powers that be felt that the Irish were a race that were not manageable. They were too rebellious. And so they set up a program to integrate English and Irish. And so they funded, I think they funded 100,000 English girls between the age of 16 and 25 to come over to Ireland, and the same vice versa. And they were trying to force intermarriage, thinking that if they could dilute the Celtic bloodline, they could harness the rebellion. They could water down the Celtic rebellion. You know, it's very interesting that you think that's probably still going on in different form. Listen, there's...
No, that's what I think is going on. It is that I saw what happened to these girls. I know the names of these girls, and I know exactly what happened to them. And it's not I think it's going on. I saw it with man. I wouldn't have believed it had I not saw it with my own eyes. I wouldn't believe it was going on.
I know. Look, there's more things I wanted to cover, but I'm conscious we've done an hour, and I think we need to do these regularly and not overface people at any given time. So next...
Well, the Pac-Man is waiting for us. She's waiting for us to put a video up so she can have it taken down.
Yeah, well, you know, I've tried...
She says that we've got teams of people, that she has evidence that we infiltrate groups, and we've got teams of people.
We do.
Yeah, I do have teams of people,
yeah,
but they're not in groups, and she would not see them. She cannot see these people.
No.
This, I think, gets on her nerves, that she can't see who's at the back of me. She can't.
Facebook is pretty much on the way out, to be honest. Facebook has had its day, I think, a little bit like MySpace. That I do have a team, thank God, and anybody that knows me knows that I've got certain skills, and they're not detail-oriented research, but I've got some amazing people that will just go down the rabbit hole and say, look, this is what we found. So
it's been said to me that she is doing learning hacking. She seems to have an interest in learning hacking.
She's one person I'd like to see behind bars. I have to say that. Well,
I think the only bars you'll see her behind the gin and tonic bars, because she seems very fond of them.
No, this is what the person that has met her personally said. She is a real survivor. She's just alcoholic. She's never healed. So look, you know, she's done some unforgivable. It's unforgivable to try and take down a channel that's got personal evidence, including people that I love that are dead.
But
personal evidence, including a fucking inquest that was corrupt. Personal evidence, including like coppers lying. It's irreplaceable. And it's
what's she saying to do this? How is she doing this? Because she has nothing.
Flagging. It's called crowd striking. She's got a team of people flagging every video on my YouTube. I've got 2 YouTube channels. They're very small. I don't monetize. I'm a small fish in a big sea. But she's just got people flagging. And
see, what has been said to me is that it's her doing everything. She's like Mr. Ben. That she doesn't have a large team of people because nobody actually likes her. Nobody has a good word to say about her. And that she doesn't have a large team. She has a whole load of
she's got
identities that are her own.
She's got a wage packet coming in because apparently her little home near the airport is quite plush. And
yes, that's what I heard.
Up, she seems to have a little income. But look,
well, she said she was homeless she became homeless at the time when she fell out for Linda McKenzie. So how was she homeless and then she has this plush, nice house near Gatwick?
Yes, exactly. So look, the next show we do, hopefully in a week, I want to talk more about Karen Irving and that.
Karen Irving doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, whatever, that whole, I want to talk more about...
No, there is no, I tell you what, there is no Karen Irving that is a solicitor in this, a social worker in this country.
But there is an author, there's a Canadian author lives in Belsize Park, possibly, who knows, never mind. I want to talk about Ben Fellows, I want to talk about Andrew Ash, I want to talk about Brian Harvey, and I want to talk about Brian Garish. We'll do that in the next show. So thank you. And I pray in Jesus' name that this does not get taken down. If it gets banned in the UK, I just advise people to use a non-UK VPN to view it, and I'll put it out in a blog and put it on Vimeo and so on. I just pray, I know that good will overcome evil. I know it will, and I thank you for your help with this.
Well, you know what? The makeup artists will be going mad at their work being taken down.
I've got no makeup on today. I've been balling.
The makeover, the makeover artists will be having a fit at all this work.
I know, I'll get fired. Look, I'll talk to you in a week, and thank you so much. And God.
All right, then, bye.
Bye.